Scorpio, your greatest victory is already unfolding. A divine payout has been initiated in the unseen realms, and millions are quietly making their way into your life not as a surprise, but as justice. Perhaps you've been wondering why you were drawn here today. Why this video found its way to your screen. Why your spirit stirred the moment you saw the title. Let me offer a sacred possibility. What if this is not an accident, but a divine appointment? What if the tears you shed in silence, the times you carried others without credit, the nights you questioned your worth were not just moments of pain, but spiritual transactions? And now, the cosmic ledger is open. The payout is on its way. Not just in money, but in full spiritual restoration. Scorpio, you are not watching this because you're curious. You're here because your soul is finally ready to collect. Take a deep breath with me. Place your hand gently over your heart. And if something within you already knows this message is yours, I want you to type 77 in the comments below. That's not just a number, it's a spiritual signature. It affirms your agreement with the divine settlement being released over your life. It lets heaven know, you are present, you are aligned, and you are ready to receive. On this journey, I will walk you through 5 sacred revelations, 5 doors that are unlocking right now in your favor. This message was prayerfully channeled through astrology, tarot wisdom, universal energy law, numerology, and the divine word of God. It's written especially for you, Scorpio, with intention and reverence. Together, we will uncover why your suffering was never in vain, it was building your spiritual fortune. Why you're not just being rewarded, you're being reimbursed. Why this moment isn't luck, it's divine accounting. Why everything that was taken from you is being returned with compounded interest. Why this time, the payout will last because you've become the vessel that can hold it. You see, this isn't about becoming rich for the sake of having money. It's about being resourced to fulfill the vision God placed in your soul long before the world tried to break you. The payout is proof that you survived the fire without letting it burn away your light. I also want to take a moment to thank you deeply and sincerely for being here. For every like, every comment, every subscription. You're not just watching a video. You're helping expand a spiritual movement. Your presence here fuels this mission to deliver transformative guidance and soul-aligned truth to those who need it most. And believe me, Scorpio, you'll want to stay with me until the very end of this message. Because what the universe is about to reveal to you about justice, about wealth, about your soul's redemption will not only change how you see your past, but it will completely rewrite your future. So let me ask you something real. What if this is the moment heaven cashes in your spiritual back pay? What if everything is already in motion, and all that's left is for you to say yes? Are you ready to step into your divine inheritance? Then stay with me. Let's begin. Scorpio, everything you've endured was never lost in the void. The universe recorded every tear, every sacrifice, and every silent moment when you chose grace over revenge. This moment in your life is not about luck falling from the sky, it is about divine order finally realigning itself in your favor. What feels like a sudden shift is actually a long-awaited response. And it begins here, in this deep, quiet realization. The spiritual debts owed to your soul are now coming due. In astrology, you are ruled by Pluto, the planet of transformation, death, rebirth, and power. This celestial force doesn't deal in surface-level change. Pluto unearths what's been buried. It rips out rot from the roots so that new growth can take place. And Scorpio, your life has been a living embodiment of this cycle. You were born to experience emotional intensity not because you're cursed, but because you're called. And those who are called are refined, not ruined. You've carried wounds that did not begin with you. Generational patterns, family trauma, energetic burdens passed down like invisible chains. Pluto doesn't just expose them, it prepares you to rise beyond them. For years, you may have felt like your strength was being exploited. That the more you gave, the more others took. That your loyalty, your depth, your insight were poured out into people who couldn't hold what you offered. It's easy to believe that energy like yours goes unrewarded in a world that prizes shallow victories. But here's the truth, spiritual accounting does not forget. The universe may seem slow, but it is precise. And now the ledger is open. You are not being rewarded because you suffered. You are being compensated because you continued to sow light even when surrounded by darkness. This is not karma in the sense of revenge, this is alignment. The energy you've invested in healing others, in showing up despite heartbreak, in choosing to protect rather than destroy is returning to you as abundance. Not a one-time blessing, but a full-scale restoration. There's a verse that whispers through this season like a promise fulfilled, those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Psalm 126 verse 5. Can you feel the weight of that? Your tears were never weakness. They were seeds. Sacred offerings that watered a garden you couldn't yet see. And now, it's harvest time. Think of it this way, your life is a divine investment account. Every moment you chose integrity over impulse, every time you held someone's pain while carrying your own, every silent prayer you whispered in the dark, it was all deposited. And now, you are standing before a cosmic banker who looks at your spiritual portfolio and says, it's time. This is why the shift you're feeling is not random. This is why doors are opening, why resistance is falling, why resources are showing up from unexpected places. You didn't ask for a handout. You held out for justice. And justice always comes. Slowly, yes. But when it does, it comes like a flood, unmistakable, undeniable, unstoppable. So if you've ever felt used, unseen, or undervalued, I want you to take a moment and share that below. Write the words, even if it's just one sentence. Because when you name your experience, you give it shape. And when you give it shape, the universe can finally respond. This space was created for you to be seen, not just by me, but by the energetic intelligence that governs this entire cycle. Your comment is not just an echo, it's a contract. It tells the universe, I am ready to receive what I have earned. You don't have to keep waiting for permission, Scorpio. This is your divine payout. And the millions? They're not a fantasy. They're a manifestation of everything you've stored in the unseen, now ready to be released into your reality. Scorpio, what if I told you that every scar you carry is not just a wound, but a treasure map? That your deepest pain wasn't wasted, but refined into spiritual currency that the universe has been holding in trust just for this moment? You didn't just survive what tried to break you. You walked through it, and whether you realized it or not, you brought something sacred back with you. You see, healing is not forgetting. Healing is remembering who you are because of what you endured, not in spite of it. In astrology, you are the alchemist of the zodiac. No other sign knows how to transmute darkness into wisdom quite like you. While others avoid the underworld of their emotions, you face it head-on. But here's what most people don't understand: transformation leaves a mark. It carves new space within you. Space that once held pain now makes room for depth, discernment, and divine magnetism. That space becomes the vault where your soul stores wealth. When you felt abandoned, overlooked, betrayed, you were actually being trained, not punished. Each betrayal taught you how to feel the subtle difference between manipulation and authenticity. Every time you forgave when you had every reason to retaliate, you increased your spiritual value. Forgiveness didn't make you weak, it made you magnetic. That energy returns to you now, multiplied. The law of attraction teaches that like attracts like, but Scorpio, you attract on a deeper frequency. Not from what you say or think, but from who you've become in the fire. The gold of your spirit wasn't born in ease, it was forged in the unbearable. And now, the universe sees you as a vibrational match for all that was once denied to you. What was taken in confusion is returning with clarity. What was withheld out of fear is now being released in alignment. What you lost was never gone, it was being held until you became the version of yourself who could truly hold it. Imagine your life as a spiritual investment portfolio. All those moments you showed up when no one clapped, when no one noticed the quiet strength, the small acts of kindness, the private moments of surrender, those were all deposits. And just like interest builds in silence, so did your return. You didn't even know it was growing. But it was. And now? The payout begins. You were never meant to be just a survivor. You are a sovereign soul. Your scars are not your shame, they are your credentials. They show that you walked through the valley and didn't come out empty. You came out glowing. That glow is your new currency. It attracts different people, different opportunities, and a different rhythm of life. Let yourself receive it. So if there's something in you that still hesitates to believe it, if a small voice whispers, "But am I really ready?" answer it gently with truth. You were never unworthy. You were simply being prepared. And now, I invite you to claim this truth out loud. In the comments, write, "I am ready to receive what was stolen from my soul." Not just as a declaration, but as a signal to your nervous system, to your subconscious, and to the universe itself. Say it not from lack, but from sovereignty. Because this isn't just about getting back what was lost. This is about receiving the full, multiplied value of what you became when no one was watching. This is about stepping into the riches of your resilience, and finally understanding that every scar was not just survival, it was sacred proof that you are worthy to receive in ways that defy explanation. And now, the vault is open. Scorpio, you've reached a point in your journey where the universe is no longer withholding abundance from you, it's simply waiting for your mind to become the vessel that can hold it. This is the moment many don't talk about. Not the breakthrough itself, but the silent internal shift that must occur before the breakthrough arrives. So many people pray for miracles, long for wealth, beg for love, but when those blessings knock at the door, their subconscious beliefs slam it shut. Not because they don't want what's coming, but because deep down, they don't believe they're ready to hold it. What we're stepping into here is not just about money. It's about the capacity to receive. And that capacity begins in the mind. This is where the real battle takes place, not in the bank account, not in the workplace, not even in relationships but in the quiet corners of the inner world where your beliefs either invite in miracles or block them entirely. The millionaire payout you've been aligned for isn't just external. It's an identity upgrade. And that new identity starts with a new mindset. In astrology, we understand that abundance isn't solely tied to Jupiter or Venus transits, it's anchored in your energetic signature. And your signature is shaped by your thoughts, your feelings, and your expectations. A poverty mindset doesn't just say, "I don't have." It whispers, "I'll lose it if I get it. I don't deserve it. It never lasts." And until those whispers are replaced, the vibration you emit will continue to attract lack, even if fortune is trying to find you. This is why the law of attraction often seems to fail. Peeplight doesn't. It simply responds to the dominant frequency you're radiating. Scorpio, you are deeply intuitive, emotionally profound, and intensely magnetic. But that power must be directed inward before it can manifest outward. You must begin with the belief that you are not a beggar in your own destiny. You are an heir. Many of us were raised consciously or not to believe that struggle is noble and wealth is suspicious. That ease means laziness and that suffering makes us worthy. But what if that programming is the very reason blessings haven't landed? What if God, or the universe, is not withholding your miracle out of cruelty but out of mercy because he knows it would crush the version of you that's still expecting loss? This is where the deeper work begins. Right now, I invite you to reflect. Have you ever sabotaged an opportunity because you thought you weren't good enough? Have you ever settled for less because more felt too risky? Write it down. Acknowledge it. And if you're ready, type the words, "I release the fear of receiving," in the comments. That small act isn't trivial. It's energetic. It's symbolic. And it signals a new agreement with your future. In practical terms, it's time to begin curating a new mental environment. Start by writing down 3 beliefs you know are limiting you. Maybe it's, "I always mess things up," or "No one truly supports me." Then, beside each one, write a new truth. "I learn from mistakes and grow. I am surrounded by unseen support." Read them every morning. Say them out loud. Let them become your new frequency. Consider creating a morning ritual that realigns you daily. It could be 5 minutes of stillness, hands over heart, breathing in possibility. Visualize the resources, the peace, the abundance flowing to you, not as a fantasy but as a natural consequence of your alignment. Because the truth is, the wealth has already been assigned. The only thing left is for you to create a mental bank account big enough to receive it. You are not asking for more than you deserve. You are simply returning to the truth of who you were before the world told you otherwise. And Scorpio, when that shift happens, when your mind expands to hold the payout, you won't just be wealthy. You'll be transformed. Scorpio, one of the most profound shifts you'll experience on your journey is the moment you realize you no longer have to fight for justice. It is already on its way. When you've carried the weight of betrayal, manipulation, and silent suffering for so long, it's easy to believe that only confrontation or closure can bring peace. But the truth is, your healing was never dependent on their apology. Your elevation does not require their validation. And the beautiful reality now unfolding in your life is this: the universe is already moving to restore balance. The archetype of justice in the tarot doesn't merely represent fairness in human terms. It is the sacred law of cause and effect, the energetic recalibration that happens when truth becomes undeniable. It is the quiet, almost invisible force that observes everything, records everything, and waits patiently, powerfully for the precise moment to step in and align what has been misaligned. And Scorpio, that moment has arrived for you. You've been the foundation, the last column holding up the illusion others built. Whether it was a relationship, a family dynamic, a career space, or a community, you were the one infusing it with life, with wisdom, with energy. They may not have seen it. They may have taken you for granted, assuming you would always hold it all together. But when you step away, something irreversible begins. The illusion starts to collapse. Not because you wished harm upon anyone, but because the structure was never sustainable without your light. This is the secret about manipulation that most don't understand. Manipulators don't have true power of their own. They borrow it. And often, they borrow it from the most empathic, intuitive, and loyal soul Scorpios like you. But there comes a time when your soul says no more. And that energetic no is louder than any confrontation ever could be. It sends a ripple through every space where you've been used but not valued, present but not protected. The withdrawal of your energy is not silence, it's a thunderclap. As this recalibration unfolds, you may notice the people who once seemed untouchable beginning to falter. Their influence wanes. Their plans unravel. Opportunities that came easily to them now slip through their fingers. This is not because you wished for their downfall, it's because your energy was never meant to fuel their false elevation. What's collapsing now is not punishment, it's correction. You are not being petty by stepping away. You are being powerful. You are not being cold by refusing to re-enter toxic dynamics. You are being clear. And the more you embody that clarity, the more the universe moves in alignment with your truth. Because the universe does not honor illusion, it honors authenticity. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain why you've outgrown certain people or places. Growth doesn't require justification. It requires release. And the very act of releasing is what returns your power back to you. It's what activates divine justice on your behalf. Not as vengeance, but as restoration. So, Scorpio, if you're ready to cut the final cord, to energetically step out of every room where you were not truly seen, I want you to write it down below. Not for me. Not for them. But for you. Let the universe hear your intention loud and clear. I am no longer a source of energy for those who do not honor me. You're not walking away empty-handed. You're walking away with everything you once gave to others, now returning to its rightful place, you. And from that place of wholeness, real abundance begins. Scorpio, after the dust of karmic collapse has settled and the tides of justice have turned in your favor, a new landscape opens before you, not one of survival, but of sacred creation. You are no longer the one clawing your way through darkness. You are now the architect of light, standing with tools forged in fire, ready to build not just a life, but a legacy. This is the part of your story where you move from enduring to initiating, from holding on to reaching forward. The divine payout you are receiving is not just a reward, it is capital. Spiritual capital. Energetic wealth. It is the startup fund for the mission your soul has been preparing for across lifetimes. This isn't about ego or ambition. This is about purpose. The pain you survived wasn't in vain. Every night you cried alone, every time you got back up when the world thought you wouldn't, you were being refined into someone the world would one day need. That day is now. The payout isn't just money, it's clarity, influence, energy, resources, and space. Space to write that book you once whispered into your pillow. Space to open that healing space you dreamt of in the middle of your breakdown. Space to fund land that doesn't just grow crops but grows safe spaces, places where children who were once like you can feel protected, seen, and believed in. This isn't a fantasy. This is the blueprint. And you, Scorpio, are the one holding it. Think of this new phase as a transition into legacy building. And legacy doesn't begin with large platforms or applause. It begins with a quiet yes. A yes to the ideas you once abandoned. A yes to your intuition even when it makes no sense. A yes to rising again, but this time not just for yourself, but for others watching you who haven't yet found their way out of the dark. Your success is their signal. Your light becomes their roadmap. Let this be the phase where you stop asking for permission to shine. You are not here to blend in or be acceptable. You are here to ignite transformation. You are the lamp not hidden under a basket, but set high to light the room. And what fuels this light now is no longer desperation. It's intention. To support this transition, surround yourself with tools and symbols that amplify your inner clarity. Deep purple is more than just a color, it represents spiritual sovereignty, the energy of the high priestess, and the remembrance of your divine royalty. Wear it. Meditate with it. Let it mirror your own inner majesty. Sapphire blue, in contrast, sharpens your intuition, protects your energetic field, and activates your higher mind. Let it be your shield as you navigate new spaces that match your elevated vibration. And if you feel drawn to numerology, know that 77 is no accident. It is the number of karmic closure, divine compensation, and energetic elevation. Let it be your anchor. As for your body, remember that the soul's temple must be nurtured if the mission is to endure. Choose nourishment that reduces inflammation not just physically, but energetically. Ginger tea to open your circulation and spiritual flow. Black garlic for purification. Chia seeds for gentle grounding. Movement is medicine. Let daily walks under open sky reset your field, help you receive downloads that can't come through when you're confined indoors. Give your body time to realign with the abundance that is already circling your field. And finally, choose one sacred action each day that ties your inner journey to your outer mission. Whether it's reading a passage from an inspiring book, journaling a new idea, or simply sitting in silence with your hand over your heart, make space for the divine to speak. Because it will. And when it does, it will sound like a memory you forgot you had, a whisper reminding you that you were never just meant to survive. You were born to lead, to heal, and to build. Not someday, but now. Scorpio, as we come to the end of this sacred message, I want you to take a moment and breathe deeply, not just with your lungs, but with your soul. Let this not just be a video you watched, but a message that reached you at exactly the moment you needed it most. Because nothing about your presence here is accidental. The path you've walked, the silence you've survived, the strength you've cultivated in the dark, it has all led to this very point, the return to yourself. Your greatest victory is not in proving anyone wrong. It's not in rising above the noise or shouting back at the past. Your greatest win is the quiet but undeniable realization that you are whole again. That you are no longer the wounded one begging for peace but the powerful one holding the pen to your next chapter. Wealth is coming, yes. But it's coming as a reflection of the wealth you've already built within. You are no longer seeking worth, you are embodying it. You see, the payout you're receiving from the universe isn't just about numbers in a bank account. It's about stepping fully into your divine assignment, with nothing left to prove and everything left to create. You're not just recovering from your past, you are rising with the ability to rewrite futures. Your scars are not shameful, they are sacred. They are not signs of defeat, they are the blueprints of your new kingdom. Let me ask you gently but powerfully, what are you ready to build now that you're no longer stuck in survival mode? What dream have you placed on the shelf that is now calling you back to life? And more importantly, can you allow yourself to receive what you once believed was only for others? Type 77 in the comments if you're ready to declare that you are open to the divine payout headed your way. It's more than a number, it's an energetic agreement. A sacred contract that you are done living beneath your worth, and you're ready to step into the light that was always yours. If this message stirred something in your spirit today, I want to thank you truly for sharing your presence with me. Each view, each like, each comment brings you deeper into this soul family we are building together here on Miracle of the Sign. Your support doesn't just grow this channel, it amplifies the collective light we are radiating into a world that so desperately needs it. So if you feel led, subscribe to Miracle of the Sign and allow yourself to stay connected to messages like this one. Let's keep walking this path together, rooted in purpose, guided by truth, and wide open to abundance. Because you, Scorpio, are not just the survivor of your story. You are the one rebuilding the kingdom from the ashes with gold forged from your own healing. And for that, the world is about to bless you in ways beyond anything you've imagined. Now tell me in the comments, what part of this message felt like it was written just for you? Let's speak it into existence together.